Chapter. Fionn mac Uail was the most prudent chief of an army in the world, but he was not always prudent on his own account. Discipline sometimes irked him, and he would then take any opportunity that presented for an adventure, for he was not only a soldier, he was a poet also, that is, a man of science, and whatever was strange or unusual had an irresistible attraction for him. Such a soldier was he that, single-handed, he could take the Fianna out of any hole they got into, but such an inveterate poet was he that all the Fianna together could scarcely retrieve him from the abysses into which he tumbled. It took him to keep the Fianna safe, but it took all the Fianna to keep their captain out of danger. They did not complain of this, for they loved every hair of Fionn's head more than they loved their wives and children, and that was reasonable, for there was never in the world a person more worthy of love than Fionn was. Gol mac Morna did not admit so much in words, but he admitted it in all his actions, for although he never lost an opportunity of killing a member of Fionn's family, there was deadly feud between Clan Basht and Clan Morna, yet a call from Fionn brought Gol raging to his assistance like a lion that rages tenderly by his mate. Not even the call was necessary, for Gol felt in his heart when Fionn was threatened, and he would leave Fionn's own brother only half killed to fly where his arm was wanted. He was never thanked, of course, for although Fionn loved Gol he did not like him, and that was how Gol felt towards Fionn. Fionn, with Conan the Swearer and the dogs Bran and Ceolin, were sitting on the hunting mound at the top of Cesh Corran. Below and around on every side the Fianna were beating the covers in Legny and Breffni, ranging the fastnesses of Glendallan, creeping in the nut and beech forests of Carberry, spying among the woods of Kyle Connor, and ranging the wide plain of Moyconnell. The great captain was happy. His eyes were resting on the sights he liked best, the sunlight of a clear day, the waving trees, the pure sky, and the lovely movement of the earth, and his ears were filled with delectable sounds, the baying of eager dogs, the clear calling of young men, the shrill whistling that came from every side, and each sound of which told a definite thing about the hunt. There was also the plunge and scurry of the deer, the yapping of badgers, and the whir of birds driven into reluctant flight. Chapter. I now the king of the She of Cesh Corran, Conaran, son of Imidal, was also watching the hunt, but Fionn did not see him, for we cannot see the people of Faerie until we enter their realm, and Fionn was not thinking of Faerie at that moment. Conaran did not like Fionn, and, seeing that the great champion was alone, save for Conan and the two hounds Bran and Ceolin, he thought the time had come to get Fionn into his power. We do not know what Fionn had done to Conaran, but it must have been bad enough, for the king of the She of Cesh Corran was filled with joy at the sight of Fionn thus close to him, thus unprotected, thus unsuspicious. This Conaran had 4 daughters. He was fond of them and proud of them, but if one were to search the She's of Ireland or the land of Ireland, the equal of these 4 would not be found for ugliness and bad humour and twisted temperaments. Their hair was black as ink and tough as wire. It stuck up and poked out and hung down about their heads in bushes and spikes and tangles. Their eyes were bleary and red. Their mouths were black and twisted, and in each of these mouths there was a hedge of curved yellow fangs. They had long scraggy necks that could turn all the way round like the neck of a hen. Their arms were long and skinny and muscular, and at the end of each finger they had a spiked nail that was as hard as horn and as sharp as a briar. Their bodies were covered with a bristle of hair and fur and fluff, so that they looked like dogs in some parts and like cats in others, and in other parts again they looked like chickens. They had moustaches poking under their noses and woolly wads growing out of their ears, so that when you looked at them the first time you never wanted to look at them again, and if you had to look at them a second time you were likely to die of the sight. They were called Sivog, Cuilin, and Iaran. The 4th daughter, Anich, was not present at that moment, so nothing need be said of her yet. Conaran called these 3 to him. Fionn is alone, said he. Fionn is alone, my treasures. Ah, said Sivog, and her jaw crunched upwards and stuck outwards, as was usual with her when she was satisfied. When the chance comes take it, Conaran continued, and he smiled a black, beetle-browed, unbenevolent smile. It's a good word, quoth Cuilin, and she swung her jaw loose and made it waggle up and down, for that was the way she smiled. And here is the chance, her father added. The chance is here, Iaran echoed.